Hey, it's me, Mr. Jason. Now, before we get into our video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button as well as that notification bell so that you know whenever we upload. Also, don't forget to comment down below a book that you would like for us to read together. I love requests, and when I get requests, that lets me know that you're out there listening and watching, and we love that here at Read Alouds with Mr. Jason. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And don't forget, keep reading. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you are in the world. My name is Mr. Jason, and today I have a read aloud for you. Welcome back, boys and girls, to another episode of Read Alouds with Mr. Jason. Well, if you've been following along, we've been reading from the story Frog and Toad Are Friends, written and illustrated by Arnold LaBelle. This story is for our big readers, our brand new series that we started just for those readers that are just a little bit older than our pre-K audience. Thus far, we've read Chapter 1, Spring, Chapter 2, The Story, and today we're going to read Chapter 3, The Lost Button. So, without any further ado, let's get into our story. But in addition to our 2- and 3-letter sight words, just for our big readers, we added 4-letter sight words. Now, for the parents and the teachers out there, here are a few key indicators that this story teaches. Each story will have its own key indicators, so be sure to pause the video so you can see which key indicators each chapter is teaching. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into our story. Frog and Toad Are Friends, The Lost Button, written and illustrated by Arnold LaBelle, just for our big readers. And Read Alouds with Mr. Jason. A Lost Button, written by Arnold LaBelle. Toad and Frog went for a long walk. They walked across a large meadow. They walked in the woods. They walked along the river. At last, they went back home to Toad's house. "Oh, drat," said Toad. "Not only do my feet hurt, but I have lost one of my buttons on my jacket." "Don't worry," said Frog. "We will go back to all the places where we walked. We will soon find your button." They walked back to the large meadow. They began to look for the button in the tall grass. "Here's your button," cried Frog. "That's not my button," said Toad. "That button is black. My button was white." Toad put the black button in his pocket. A sparrow flew down.
"Excuse me,"
said the sparrow.
"did you lose a button? I found one."
"That's not my button," said Toad. "That button has 2 holes. My button had 4 holes." Toad put the button with 2 holes in his pocket. They went back to the woods and looked on the dark paths. "Here is your button," said Frog. "That's not my button," cried Toad. "That button is small. My button was big." Toad put the small button in his pocket. A raccoon came from behind a tree. "I heard you were looking for a button," he said. "Here is one that I just found." "That's not my button. That button is square. My button is round." Toad put the square button in his pocket. Frog and Toad went back to the river. They looked for the button in the mud. "Here's your button," said Frog. "That's not my button," shouted Toad. "That button is thin. My button was thick." Toad put the thin button in his pocket. He was very angry. He jumped up and down and screamed, "The whole world is covered with buttons, and not one of them is mine!" Toad ran home and slammed the door. There on the floor, he saw his white, four-holed, big, round, thick button.
Oh,
Said Toad.
it was here all the time. What a lot of trouble I have made for Frog.
Toad took all the buttons out of his pocket. He took his sewing box down from the shelf. Toad sewed the buttons all over his jacket. The next day, Toad gave his jacket to Frog. Frog thought it was beautiful. He put it on and jumped for joy. None of the buttons fell off. Toad had sewn them on very well. Have you ever been so frustrated when looking for something that you just react and don't stop and think? Well, that's exactly what Toad did. He didn't realize that his button was in the house the whole time. So they had to retrace their steps. And along the way, they had some friends to help out. Luckily, they found the button, and Frog got himself a new jacket. Isn't that awesome? Thank you for reading with me. I had a blast reading with you as I always do. While you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below of a book that you would like to read in our Read Alouds with us. If you didn't get an opportunity earlier, make sure you go back and look at all those sight words. School's about to start, and sight words are about to be a very big part of your lives. So get your practice in now. Thank you again for reading with me. I can't wait to read again with you soon. And to all my big readers, don't forget, keep reading.